Hey guys, Paul here from familywheels.ca. Thanks for tuning in to another car review for your growing family. Today we're looking at the brand new 2016 Hyundai Tucson, and I've been pressured pretty hard actually by a couple of my Twitter followers and even one of my colleagues to get into this thing, to check it out, because it is such a highly sought after vehicle now. The Tucson competes with the likes of, the Ford Escape, the Toyota RAV4, even the Volkswagen Tiguan. Basically, you could name any company right now and they've got a small SUV in their lineup, because this kind of vehicle has just gotten so popular in terms of shuttling kids to and from school. And it is back to school time now, so the perfect time to look at this new version. The new version deals with some issues that the old one had lingering, things like a noisy cabin at speed, not the greatest ride, and this new car actually has a 1.6 liter turbo on offer as well too, which is proving to be very smooth. But I'm going to meet up with that colleague of mine who said to me, "When are you taking out the new Tucson?" See what he thinks of it, see if it could work for his family as well as ours. So stick around, we'll see how the new Tucson does. So before we head over to Aaron's place, let's go over some of the basic numbers with this car. First up is price. The Tucson starts at just over 24 grand now and can climb rather quickly to just shy of 40 grand. And while 24 grand does sound like a good deal for a mid-size crossover vehicle at this point, it's a pretty basic car. You're not even going to get all-wheel drive. But if we go just above those front-wheel drive basic models, you start to get some pretty good features standard on this vehicle. Some good safety features included like blind spot detection, rear cross traffic alert, things that are going to help keep an eye on that sort of blind spot area, let you know whether a car is coming up rather quickly on you so that your lane change might not be quite safe enough. And then you start to get things standard as well, like heated seats, a rear backup camera, and Bluetooth technology too. So not bad features at a fairly reasonable price. And of course, included in those trim levels are two separate engines as well. You can get the cheaper 2-liter non-turbo engine, or the 1.6 liter turbo that I'm in today. The cheaper engine comes with a 6-speed automatic transmission, and here in the turbo you get a 7-speed dual clutch transmission that's very smooth and very comfortable to drive. Surprisingly, the non-turbo engine actually gets worse fuel economy numbers according to Hyundai than the turbo does. You get about 9 to 11 liters per 100 kilometers with the non-turbo, and about 8.5 to 10 with the turbo. And a lot of times I don't really believe those numbers, because turbo engines can really suck up fuel pretty quickly. But here I've been driving this car around the city now for a few days, really no highway driving at all, and I've got about 8.9 liters per 100 kilometers as my average, so not bad. And this turbo is a lot of fun to drive. However, one thing that I will say is that when you're starting from a stop, here I'm gonna come to a stop here and show you what I mean. If you really want to give it some juice, there's a fair bit of a lag. Check this out. Okay, there it goes. Once it's up at speed, it's a lot of fun to drive, but I wish that it would just kind of have a bit more immediate power off the line, or if I really wanted to pass somebody with a fair bit of oomph on the highway. Now, one of my first cars, it was actually my first ever new car, was a Hyundai Accent years and years ago. And I don't think I'm too far off base when I say that that was a tin can. It was a pretty bad car. And years ago, if I told you I was buying a Hyundai, you would have kind of rolled your eyes and said, "Oh, well, there's the bargain basement choice." Today, here we are in this still Korean-made Tucson, and what a difference. This is a really nicely made, great fit and finish kind of vehicle. I'm in one of the higher end trims here today in the Tucson. You can see I have this massive panorama sunroof up above me here. 8-inch navigation touchscreen is really intuitive and easy to use. The hands-free on the steering wheel, it understands my commands even better than the system that's in the Mercedes that I was in last week. I'm so impressed impressed. And it's no wonder that in terms of initial quality and comfort in these new Korean vehicles, that they are really smashing through that ceiling that people might have originally thought of when they thought of Kia and Hyundai. Really nice vehicle to be in. There are a couple of exceptions. There's still some cheap plastic around the door frames, a little bit here around the navigation as well, but in terms of general fit and finish, man, Hyundai, you have upped the game big time here. I'm really digging these seats here today as well. They're super comfortable, they're supportive, and they're firm just the way I like it. In fact, I would hazard to say that these are the most comfortable seats that I've ever been in a Korean-made vehicle. The base model comes with cloth seats, but you quickly get into leather and the higher end trims. One thing I would caution is that while these seats look really cool, these hundreds of tiny little perforations through the front and rear seats in the leather option, they can clog up with baby food and other kid messes really easily, and they can be a real pain to clean. So if you are going with the leather option and your kids are still flinging food everywhere back there, it might be worth just throwing a cloth down or something to keep the seats a little cleaner for you. All right, so let's go through our standardized test now. We always put the same amount of gear into all of our vehicles to see how they do with the trunk test. And as you can see here, a stroller, a couple bags of groceries, a ball and a bag, and a diaper bag. That is looking really good, actually. So good that I was able to put the stroller lengthwise rather than across, which means that, hey, Comox, come here. Could even fit the rather large family dog in there if we had to. It's a bit of a pinch for her, but you could do it. And that's a surprise to me, given the size of this vehicle. Stay there for a sec, Pooch. Now, let's bring that over to our next test, which is the rear-facing child seat test. What happens when we put one of those in place to the legroom for the front passenger, because that can often kind of be the kiss of death for the front passenger in vehicles of this size. With our tape measure here, I'll show you what we've got. It is not even a foot of legroom, not even 11 inches actually, which is a bit of a surprise to me. I thought that this car would have more legroom than that. Even the much smaller Mercedes GLA that I was in last week had better legroom for the front passenger when that car seat was in place. But this is kind of surprising, and I think it's because underneath the glove box there's kind of an alcove for your feet. It's tight, but it's not totally unmanageable for me, and I'm 6'2". Let's talk about the back seat when kids get out of car seats and that sort of thing. I'll show you how it is. Looking pretty good back here. I've got the seat set the way I like it up front, so even for a tall driver up front, there's still a decent amount of legroom for the rear passenger. One thing that I like about being back here is that there's actually a handle down here by my thigh for the rear passenger, and I can recline a little bit. So for longer drives, if you want to be a little bit more comfortable, that's something I could do. Really, given the fact that this is a fairly small crossover vehicle, pretty surprising for rear legroom comfort in this car. And oh, Comox has already lied down. She's gotten comfortable in here as well.
Hey man.
Hey, how's it going?
Come on up a sec. So I got a feeling I won't be able to go in this way, but if I can, oh, you know what? That might work, actually.
Yeah, it looks like you can.
Gotta go this way.
As a non-hockey player,
Yeah.
you know, I always see the size of these bags, and I always thought that in these smaller SUVs, not a hope in hell you'd be fitting them in there, but here we have it.
Not bad. You can
Not
definitely
bad.
put another one on top if you want to take another kid to practice.
Yeah. Wow, I have to say, I was not expecting those hockey bags to fit into the back of this as well as they did. Hyundai has really managed to squeeze every possible bit of cargo capacity out of this little crossover. In fact, the company says that compared to the BMW X5, this has more interior cargo capacity in the back, which is amazing because that's a much larger SUV. Which brings me to the other thing, which is of course the fact that Hyundai can't really be beat when it comes to its warranties. 5-year, 100,000 kilometer means that if you wanted to get a comparable kind of warranty in a Mercedes, even a Honda for that matter, you'd be forking out a fair bit of extra money for that extended plan. Now, in terms of safety, Hyundai doesn't have its Insurance Institute for Highway Safety figures out yet. That organization will be out with its numbers here within the next couple of months, but Hyundai is very confident that it will get a top safety pick rating. And that's largely because of those safety features that it comes with on all but the most basic model of the Tucson. It's amazing to see how far this company has come in about the last decade when you compare this Tucson to that little Hyundai Accent that I was driving around through my college years in Vancouver. If you want a crossover vehicle that's well kitted out, drives nicely, and is a really good value, consider taking the Tucson for a test drive.